Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm your host, Suze, and with me, as always, are my beautiful co-hosts, Ash and Tammy. And of course, our young Jamie Dave from Perception Correction is with us, rolling my joints, as you know, as usual. Ladies and Dave, how are you doing this evening?
I'm frustrated.
I've heard.
Stupid printer.
So you're not excellent like I am.
No, I'm frustrated.
Frustrated.
I'm
and
happy
Ash?
to be here.
Well, that's good.
I'm Awesome Possum.
Awesome Possum. That's a new one. Dave?
Yeah.
Euphoria
I went with lame
boner.
today.
Did you just say euphoria boner?
Euphoria boner.
We're not fucking there yet, man.
Right. I was brushing up on our guest content today. I forgot how funny that term is.
Well, as Dave has just mentioned, we have a very special guest with us this evening. I myself am super excited to have her on. You may all know her from her hilarious content over on Twitter. Please welcome MaryCate Delvey, or at MaryCate Delvey on X. MaryCate, thank you so much for joining us. And how are you this evening?
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me here. I am doing well. I'm ready for Halloween tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you dressing up as?
I'm going as Chun-Li.
Perfect.
That's hilarious.
How about you?
I'm going as a witch because, recently I was accused of being one. So I figured, I might as well just be myself.
Yes.
Right?
Ascend up that pyramid.
Right? Tammy, any of you guys dressing up?
I don't do Halloween.
You don't do Halloween?
No.
You're like my husband. My husband is not a Halloween fan.
I actually love Halloween, but I live on an island, so I don't get trick-or-treaters.
No one is coming knocking on Ash's door.
They are not. Maybe I'll have some acorns for the squirrels, but other than that.
Yeah. Well, I live in a relatively newer neighborhood. It's just like under 15 years old. We have like a lot of young families here, so we get a crazy amount of kids that come through. Like it's actually nice. It's fun.
That's fun. Do you keep track? Do you keep a count?
No, because I'm actually the one that's out trick-or-treating with the girls, and my husband is the one that's home giving out candy, and he ain't counting shit. So, but maybe I'll tell him this year. I'll be like, "Can you count?" He's going to be like, "I'm going to forget."
Do you want to share what your kids are going as this year?
Oh, sure. So they let me make their costumes, part of their costumes, which was fun because I've been trying to ask them like every year. And because I grew up, I never had a store-bought costume when I was a kid, like ever. My mom would like just grab, like, you're going to be a gypsy. And she'd like grab whatever pieces of something and like threw something together. And I still do that. Like if I'm dressing up for myself, like I don't buy anything. I just throw something together. But they are all like, I want this store-bought costume. So this year they're like, they want it to be an angel. One of them, and the other one is a demon. Well, she's now changed it to a demon princess. So
that's very cute.
I made their tutus for the outfit. So I'm like, okay, you're dressed in black. Here's your black tutu. You're dressed in white. Here's your white tutu. And then I just went and got the wings and the horns and the halo. And yeah.
They look adorable, but I think it's so funny that they actually picked something that the people who think you're a Masonic witch would just have a field day with.
Right?
She's even dressing her kids like demons.
Meanwhile, it was completely her choice.
I want to circle back to the gypsy costume because I think that costume was used by every mother when they had no idea what to dress their kid as. Because my mom for sure also dressed me as a gypsy, and I hated it.
Well, they'd totally be canceled for that costume now. You're not allowed to say that gypsy.
Right? Could you imagine?
Aroma.
Did you guys see the Halloween costume that I posted yesterday on X where the person was going as a trans person and all they did was take it was a dude that took his shirt off and then just put stitches under his boobs?
Yeah.
I did.
My God.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, it's a good costume.
Clever.
I feel like 90% of the population could just go on their own now since everybody seems to be trans. So
right? You could just be
Like they don't
"I'm
even need to
trans."
dress up.
Exactly.
Yeah. They've ruined Halloween for themselves.
100%.
They totally have. Totally have. Well, speaking of trans,
Good segue.
Yeah.
Mary Kate, we all found you over on X, but I do think you also post your content over on other platforms as well. So you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I wanted to do a little spotlight on your Twitter page. You know, we know you best from your Listening to Trans People series, which we'll get into in a bit. But could you maybe tell our listeners just a little bit about you? What compelled you to start making content specifically on the trans agenda? And do you make content for any other topics that you're passionate about?
Sure. So, I kind of got here not really in a linear way. It was many issues at once that, my own experiences that sort of drove me towards radical feminism, my algorithm being geared towards radical feminism. I had been a big fan of J.K. Rowling for a long time, love her Harry Potter series, love the Robert Galbraith series, watched that Fallout back in the summer of 2020, and, went and read her essay where she was talking about why she spoke out and just could not figure out where is all the vitriol coming from, because everything that I was reading sounded very reasonable. And then very quickly learning that anyone who spoke out on it was getting canceled, was getting deplatformed, things like that. And started looking into, well, what do they say in their own spaces? And, they're pretty much, the trans community is pretty much allowed to post seemingly whatever they like, regardless of violence, threats, pornography, things like that. But anyone who criticized it was not able to speak about it. And so after my personal Twitter account had gotten nuked for saying, I think I said abortion's a women's issue. And, you weren't allowed to say that because it made the men angry who weren't women, and it's just,
of course.
That's transphobic. Everything's transphobic. And I had all these, posts that they had written and quotes from their books, and just decided, okay, I'm going to just read what they say, because for me, those were the things that quote unquote piqued me. It was, here is how they talk when they don't think anyone else is listening. Here's how they talk about women. Here are their motivations, and look how sexual they are in nature. So I just decided, okay, well, they're allowed to say it, so I'm going to just read what they say without any commentary, without, open criticism. And so that's how that series was started, because I kept thinking to myself, if people knew, then they wouldn't support this. If they heard the pedophilia, if they heard the perversion, all the things they wanted, the violent fantasies about women, the things they do in our bathrooms. I just kept thinking, if people hear it, because I don't think the average person was going out of their way to read these things. Nobody's just going onto their these men's forums or into their spaces. So I really just was trying to bring awareness to the issue and also circumvent all of the restrictions that seem to happen for anyone who is branded a TERF or gender critical.
Yeah, no, what you did is actually super smart, and it does show exactly how they really are and what their motives are, et cetera, right? So it was brilliantly done.
Right.
Definitely keep doing it. I'm actually I'm over here waiting for me to get canceled, because I frequently write in black and white, women don't have dicks. So I'm waiting for the day where it's like, sorry, Suze, you're gone. You're out of here, because that is politically incorrect.
I mean, the good news seems to be, at least on X, I'm on my third TikTok account. I don't bother posting there. I don't bother posting to Instagram because my stuff gets taken down immediately. I mean, usually within an hour on TikTok, within the afternoon on Instagram. But it does seem like we are being allowed more freedom of speech to criticize or even to poke fun at this movement on X since Elon Musk bought it.
Well, I'm going to have Ash speak to that, because her husband was just permanently suspended. Ash, would you like to tell us why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those books that are available in the children's libraries across Canada in schools, they have the very graphic pictures of things like kids giving blowjobs and all that kind of stuff. And so someone from the CBC was actually making fun of who's the one who was running for premier in BC, and Rustad, is it John Rustad?
I don't remember the name.
David Eby's counterpart who didn't win. Anyways, he was basically CBC was talking about him and how he's this conspiracy theorist and he's anti-trans, and so Rebel News was covering this, Drea Humphrey, and saying that, there are these books in the schools. And so my husband actually just posted photos of the what are in the books in children's schools and said that...
I'll tell you exactly what he said. I have it in front of me. Quote unquote. He said, "These people are a serious danger to children." That's all he wrote.
Yeah, and he was talking about CBC.
Okay.
Right? Like, not even the trans community. He's talking about CBC because they're the ones who were saying that John Rustad was, I believe it's John Rustad, was spreading misinformation. And it's like, no, you're lying. You're a news. You are the news company that, gets paid by taxpayers to provide the news. And you're saying that, that it's misinformation, and like legit, they're in schools with these photos. So anyways, permanent suspension. So
on Twitter.
Yeah. And this was just recently.
I stand corrected then.
This was just a week ago.
Last week.
And
I know the exact book that is. Yeah. And I feel like we see time and time again, there are parents that bring those types of books into school board meetings and they try to read it out loud to the school board, and they are silent. They have their mic cut off. They're escorted out by security. And it's like, if that's not acceptable to talk about, how on earth is it acceptable to give to children?
Exactly. And so they said that he appealed and they denied it due to abuse and harassment.
Wow.
That's not even abusive language or harassment.
No,
not at all.
I think it's a correct observation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, well, again, I stand corrected. I had thought, that was the one platform I could get away with doing what I do, but I'm not going to be any more careful, but I'll keep in mind.
Please don't. I love your content.
At the end of the day, none of us are careful. It's like, we're going to say what we're going to say. You don't like it?
Right.
Too freaking bad. Right, Tammy?
Yeah, I have yet to be suspended. I've had a couple, I don't know, where they've gotten me in trouble, but I've appealed it and they let me back. I'm shocked that I haven't been, but whatever, I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Ash's husband's appeal was denied. Like, he tried
me
to
too.
it, and they denied it.
I know.
Wild.
It's like,
how much attention had that post gotten before he was suspended?
That's a good question.
Because I wonder if, the trannies mass reported him or something.
I'm sure they did, but the thing is that he has, he doesn't get, sorry, hubby, but he doesn't get a lot of likes or comments or impressions at all.
Yeah, he's not a big account to begin with, but somebody came across it, it pissed somebody off, and they could have just said, hey, to all their friends, mass report this.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is probably most likely what happened.
But even if it was mass reported, I just don't think there's grounds to stand on for that.
It doesn't sound like it to me. It didn't look like it, but that's kind of the entity that we're up against is, it's very, big brother, and you're not allowed to speak out against anyone who claims a trans identity. You're not allowed to talk about statistics without, I mean, it's just the entire thing is very convoluted, and they're not oppressed. They have the full support of the pharmaceutical industry, of the government, of social organizations. So it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, for sure. So back to your series, Listen to Trans People. Dave, I wanted, let's show everyone, maybe one of your like kind of earlier ones when you kind of were first started doing them. Dave, can you show the one that says getting a boner in the women's restroom?
Damn it, wrong one.
What the heck, Dave?
Hold on. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this one's bad.
Is this the one? Whatever. We're rolling with this one.
We're rolling with this one. All right, we're going with this one.
We lift trans babies. I sometimes have violent thoughts about cis women. When I see a pretty cis
Oh, this is the violent one, yeah.
extremely jealous. Why is she so lucky? Why should she get to be so pretty and be born that way? I get so angry to the point I just want to punch them. I would never act on it, but I just hate being near them. I'm so jealous whenever I see a beautiful woman flaunting her beauty and femininity. I just want to hurt her. I especially hate seeing little girls. I have extremely violent fantasies about them, about how I want to destroy their effortless beauty so they suffer how I've suffered. Fantasy, of course. I would never act out any of it. Imagine awesome trans gals tearing out TERFs' tongues and cutting off their hands so they can never speak or type their trans misogynistic bullshit ever again. Now imagine those same trans gals using the TERFs' hands and tongues as sex toys and posting the videos online. If TERFs want to keep making trans women's lives hell, I propose that trans women are allowed to violate them as they please with that cock the whiny lesbians are so obsessed with. All TERFs should be raped by both men and women for a year straight, chained down to a bed and fed minimum food to live, not allowed to get up to piss or shit, and be forced to bear the resulting kids, which are sent to rational, loving families. That way you can be tortured and possibly give me a future kid for me to love and care for, if I choose not to have one biologically. Thank you so much for being here and listening to Trans People.
I love how these people say at the end, like, and I'll never act on it. And then, like, if they do, their manifesto will be suppressed by the whatever government, right? Like,
right.
Your facial expressions kill me in these videos.
It's the happy voice for me.
Right. I've heard that. I've heard it's like a Disney princess reading just the most horrific stuff you've ever heard in your life.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like.
But where do you find this stuff?
I'm guessing Reddit.
So Reddit is, my main source for research, but also, from their books, Andrea Long Chu, who is, he, won a, I think it was a Nobel Prize. It was a Pulitzer Prize for saying, fucked is what a female is, and the asshole is the universal vagina. I mean, and there's also, just from Twitter itself, I have 3 or 4 episodes that I called my fan mail, where I just read like my death and rape threats that I've gotten since I started doing these. I did a video with responses to J.K. Rowling. A huge percentage of those were from Twitter. So yeah, all different places, but really just spaces where they are speaking with each other and where they don't expect anyone else to be listening is where I focus on.
So that's really interesting too, because
sorry to interrupt. I just spent 10 seconds on Reddit trans and I couldn't handle it anymore and I had to leave.
Oh yeah.
So Reddit is very censored, and I'm actually shocked, not surprised actually, but that they allow them to speak like that, because I've been booted from Reddit permanently.
So was my husband.
What got you booted?
Honestly, I was talking about weed.
Like marijuana?
Yeah. and I got banned.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the trans identified men on Reddit, they got the pregnancy subreddit shut down. They got the gender critical subreddit shut down. They, have shut down lesbian spaces, really anything that comes up against them. And if you ever go looking for pictures of Reddit moderators, you will find out exactly why they are like this. Because it's them. It's these guys.
So it's clear as day that they have special privileges. They just get what's that? I feel like, I don't know if you can find it, Dave, but there's this I think it's a Family Guy episode where this woman comes up to the bar or whatever and lights up a cigarette, and then the bartender's like, "Ma'am, you can't smoke here." And then the woman or whatever says, "I'm trans," and he's like, "Okay, carry on."
Oh no, it was Quagmire's dad who announced he was a woman, and he was watching pornography on his phone at the bar. And the bartender comes up and says, "You can't do that." And he says, "I'm a trans woman." And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do whatever you want all the time," and leaves. Yeah. I mean, and it's quite literally like that. They really are allowed to just say whatever they want. These posts that I'm finding are not obscure. These are some of the highest upvoted posts. I have seen a couple of times. I have seen someone post on, especially the male to female Reddit board, saying, I don't relate to the sexual nature of it. And I think it makes the rest of us look bad. And they have been piled on by the rest of the trannies in there saying you don't get to dictate our experience. That's valid. It's normal, blah, blah, blah. And it is so heavily moderated. If these were not things that were popular in this quote unquote community, then they would be censored. They would be taken down, but they aren't, because this is, they say they're living their truth. This is their truth. The truth is that these are men driven by hatred of women and a perversion.
Absolutely.
But if we say that or we call it out, then we get crapped on for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my
10 seconds.
God.
You ready?
The misogyny is so thick.
Are we doing getting a boner in the women's restroom now?
Oh no, this is the Family Guy clip.
The Family Guy. Sorry. I was on a different screen.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
It's really like that, or that's what it feels like anyway.
Yep.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I love when they accuse me of you just cherry picking, this isn't representative of the whole community. And I'm like, I'm on part 51. You have no idea how many of these I have to cut out just to make these videos shorter, digestible to people, just to make them shorter, to keep them under 10 minutes, just how frequently these posts crop up. If you go to their forums and you type in euphoria boner, you are going to get thousands and thousands of hits, because these are common threads throughout, the way that these men speak.
Speaking of those boners, Dave, it's time. It's time.
I would play, maybe number 6. That might be too long. This is a good one. It's shorter.
That's the one I sent him. Yeah.
Welcome to Listen to Trans People, where we listen to trans people in their own words. Euphoria boner. When I use the women's bathroom, I get super excited because it's so affirming. I tend to get euphoria boners under my skirt. I try to hide it, but sometimes other women see it and it's embarrassing. Does anyone else experience this? I got a euphoria boner in the women's washroom today. I usually use the women's bathroom because I mostly pass. Well, today, I got a euphoria boner. Doing girly things makes it happen sometimes. I had to hide in the stall for over 20 minutes because it was a busy bathroom in the subway. Any of you girls have this issue before? This has been Listen to Trans People.
Any of you girls have this issue? What the?
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh, issues with euphoria boners where you get stuck in the bathroom for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we've all had it.
Yeah, we've all had it.
Time.
Damn euphoria boners, they'll get you every time. Oh, man.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what I do.
Oh my God. So you mentioned about like the hate that you get from the TRAs on these, and
Oh
I
my
know, like you
God,
said,
yes.
you do some video responses sometimes, reading the responses to you. So what are I didn't pull up a video for Dave of your responses, but what are some of the things that they're coming at you for and saying?
Oh, well, they hate my
Terry-
voice. They think I look like a man, just all the things, but things like, I hope you get shot. There was one, rape is not enough for you. Perhaps a public hanging might do you justice. I mean, it's
wow.
stuff like that all the time. And I don't care anymore.
I'm sorry.
I really don't.
They say they think you look like a man. How?
Oh, yeah.
What are their determinants for that? Like,
Right.
that's so backwards.
It's
and
so
then,
funny.
and it's like, but you are a man. Like that's your response to them. You're the man.
It's projection from them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's clearly just they're gonna hate what they can't have, and they can't have femaleness. So any woman who pushes back, they decide is a hideous old hag, and they tell me my snatch stinks. Just all whatever bullshit they come up with that day.
Oh my God. Okay, let's do one more. Dave, can you pull up the spooky one since it is Halloween tomorrow, please? This is a fresh new one. I believe that MaryCate just posted today, everyone.
So I reposted it today. I think this was 38 or 39, but yeah, it's a good one for Halloween.
Oh, okay. It was a repost. Okay, gotcha.
I'm MaryCate. Welcome back to Listen to Trans People, where that's all we do. Okay, let me explain something to you. To this day, the most accurate portrayal of my own transgender psychosis I've ever seen was in Silence of the Lambs, when Buffalo Bill copes with being denied access to medical transitioning by skinning women alive and making a woman's suit out of their flesh. That's how badly he wants to be seen as a woman. His core was so wounded by being a trans woman in the Deep South that he became a serial murderer. And I have never related to a fictional character more. As a teenager, I would compulsively draw dismembered female bodies. I was obsessed with the female form, desperately recreating it over and over, imagining myself living inside that skin. And then my shame would lead me to ritualistically dismember that body on the page, piece by piece, with me still inside it. It was a binge and purge ritual, shamefully embracing my transgender feelings. Those transgender feelings were born already drenched in shame, so when they started to come out, they naturally had a sickly fetishistic vibe to them. It literally took decades for my transgender feelings to not manifest in genuinely dangerous ways. I want you all to really understand this. Thanks for listening to Trans People.
Your face at the end.
We're laughing, but that's terrifying.
It's horrifying.
Yes,
it is.
Sorry, Dave?
Sorry, I was going to say, you must have outtakes when you do these. Like, you must laugh and have like, okay, let's do this again.
Yeah,
So-
how many takes does it take?
No one believes me, but honestly, I usually record these on TikTok because the editing software is so easy. I can throw some music in the background, hit the captions, and it just sort of, does it for me as a busy mom with a job. So it gives me 10 minutes. That's usually all I need. And I really don't have that many outtakes. I wish that I did, but
how do the people in your family and your friends, what do they think of this?
So it's really funny. They have not paid any attention to it. I've tried to tell my parents what I do, and they kind of get it. They kind of don't, but they're not watching it. They don't, it's not there. They're not all that online either.
Fair enough.
But I actually just went to a wedding over the weekend for my family and talked to some of my cousins about it. Some of them knew, some of them didn't. But no, I haven't had any confrontation with family. With friends, I've, and before I started doing this too, had lost some friends and some friend groups because I wasn't going to play pretend with 40-year-old men. You know what I mean? But no, I guess, as this grows, I'm sure they'll come across it. But I haven't had any family comments yet. My mom, she got really hung up on, why did Jamie Lee Curtis personally block you on Twitter? Because she loves Jamie Lee Curtis, and genuinely, as an actress, I do too. But I had a whole conversation with my mother where she's like, I just don't understand. I'm like, well, I said something. Told her to keep her creepy son out of my daughter's bathroom. So.
Oh my God. Oh man.
But my family thinks that the funniest part is that I get called far right and a Nazi and stuff, because in my family, I was kind of known to be obnoxiously liberal leaning for such a long time. I remember telling my family about it and my sister cracking up. She's like, they call you far right? I'm like, I know.
Wow. Well, Ash here, she's a recovering liberal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that sounds like a familiar story to me.
Yeah.
Yep. We were on the way to being good little commies, that's for sure.
That's
me and
right.
my hubby, almost vegans.
Almost vegan.
I am vegan.
Shit. I'm out. Cancel the show. No, I'm kidding.
It helps my kidneys. I promise I'm not that kind. I'm not an obnoxious vegan.
No, okay. Good. All right. So I want to take a look at a couple of your tweets that you actually put out. So one is extremely alarming. I actually just came across it today. And it's a good example, of what a lot of us have been saying and trying to warn people of when we talk about, the why is there such a push of this trans agenda, towards children. So let me just find it here. Where is it? So you quote tweeted, I guess like a media source, and you wrote, always ask yourself who benefits from keeping children in a pre-pubescent state, who benefits from giving children sexual autonomy, and who benefits from being able to disguise their true identities. Right. And this was a tweet about pro-pedophile activists in Germany that are rallying behind the nation's radical gender self-identification law, which allows minors to change their legal sex. And they claim trans kids, quote unquote, are a crucial step towards, quote unquote, pedosexual rights. Yep. So can you talk a little bit about what this is and what you were posting about?
Yeah, so I was alerted to this through working with Redux News, who they focus on women and children's issues. And this is in Germany. The laws are changing. It's going to be, I think it's November 1st or
Friday.
2nd. It's it's like 2 days from now.
Says
yes.
November 1st, yeah.
Yep. So they are going to allow basically self-ID with absolutely no roadblocks or restrictions. So, all a child of 14 and up, or, a grown man has to do is say, I feel like this gender, and, legally they have to be accepted as such. And they have a pro-pedophile lobby group that has really latched on to this idea of, if we allow children gender autonomy, then they will also, they're basically lobbying that kids should be able to change their gender and claim a sexuality because it benefits pedophiles. They say like pedophile rights cannot exist without the autonomy of the children. I mean, it's really sickening stuff. But absolutely, yeah. Who benefits and who wants to keep children in that state, and who wants to give children legal rights to be able to have sex with adults? It's pedophiles. And, again and again, we see activists for this movement arrested for pedophilia, for having images like that in their computer, or doing it themselves. It's a very very good cover for predators, right? Because you're not allowed to speak out against it. If you do, you're not labeled someone who wants to keep children safe. You're labeled transphobic and homophobic. So yeah, very, very sinister. I really am still just floored that there are pedophile lobby groups, and that these people aren't looking at it going, wait a second, if the pedophiles want this, should we take another look at it?
Yes.
That's not happening, and we're going to see in a couple of days this law take effect.
In Germany.
Did you guys ever have like pedos as a protected class on your bingo card?
No, I really didn't.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
It is.
Yeah. It's scary. It's freaking scary.
Yeah. No, it's terrifying. But yeah, they're advocating for legalizing self-determined sexuality and gender identity, and again, they're just outright saying it's vital to to pedophile rights that we allow children to have transgender rights.
Mm-hmm. Tammy, you got any thoughts on this nonsense happening on the other side of the world?
No. I mean,
because you're not surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
It's alarming as hell. It's scary as hell. That shit better not come here, but I am nervous that it's making its way.
It will.
Yeah. I think
that kind of takes me
no
back.
one thought we would see it in Germany. I mean, I certainly didn't. So I think, being on the defensive preemptively is going to be the correct path to take.
Yeah, which kind of now segues into like another tweet of yours that I wanted to bring up. And I believe you ended up doing a space about it on X. And I thought we could talk about it here as well. So your tweet basically said, the question that we so often get is, why do you care? How does gender ideology affect you? So I know for me, a huge reason why I care is because I have kids, right? I don't need nor want people filling my kids' heads with something that isn't true, nor do I want this pedophilia shit coming towards them as well. And, convincing them or making them believe that it's possible they may be in the wrong body. I'm like, no, let's teach them to love themselves. I will never understand why us trying to teach our kids to love exactly who they are, the way they were made, is so damn controversial.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
That's acceptance. That's actual acceptance.
This is my whole, I take such issue with the parents that support their children in this, because I don't have kids, but there would never be a case where even like my nieces or nephews, if they ever came to me and were not happy with themselves, there would never be a case where I promoted or condoned them being anything other than who they were. And I would make sure that they knew how beautiful I thought that they were as they are.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what, though? I feel like even with some of the best parenting, this is a very, very insidious ideology, and it is absolutely everywhere. It's in the TV shows that they're watching. It's in the games that they're playing. Their friends are talking about it. 100%. There's a social contagion aspect to it, especially with adolescent girls who are the most prone to these sorts of social contagions. So I think the way that they are always talking to kids, right? I think that there need to be programs put in place that are giving them a different perspective. And I joke about it being what the Church of Satan does, where every time they're trying to implement prayer in school or, the 10 Commandments up on the wall of the courthouse, the Church of Satan comes in and they say, okay, well, if you're going to promote that, you have to promote our Satan statue too. Or, you know what I mean? And I do see a lack of counter movement to this. If we're going to have kids in, queer club after school, I think we should absolutely be able to, have a club about, get into your body or something like that, it's a healthy approach to it.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, there's a movement we can begin. Who wants to start that with me?
Yeah.
It's a great idea, actually.
Mm-hmm. And it actually, here's another tweet from MaryCate that I like. It looks like you quote tweeted somebody, the original quote, the account has been suspended. So I don't know what the original tweet was, but you wrote, why does it need to be life-saving treatment if it isn't a mental illness?
Right. Right.
I like that one too.
They need care, but it's not an illness. There's nothing wrong with it. It's normal. But if they don't get free plastic surgeries, you're literally sentencing them to death, and they're going to kill themselves if they can't have, their breasts removed or their fake boobs. It's just the whole entire thing is full of contradictions, right?
Yeah.
And, when you call them out on it, when you say, when they're yelling at you, sex and gender are different, and you say, okay, I'll agree with you. Then, if you change your gender, you don't need to come into spaces for the opposite sex. And they never have any logical responses to these things because there isn't any reason behind it. It is 100% fear propaganda,
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the free plastic surgery and stuff. I actually saw on Instagram the other day, it's a trans man that I know of that was posting about like the different surgeries that he whatever has had. And then, mentioned the breast removal and how much that cost. I feel like it was 10 or 15,000
at least
paid for out of, his pocket though, his or her, whatever. But mentioned the hysterectomy. $20,000 paid for by OHIP here in Canada. I was like, what the fuck, man? Are you joking me? $20,000. And he said paid by OHIP covered it.
Yep. And, worse than that, we have Kamala Harris here bragging about how she's paying for the surgeries for men who call themselves women in prisons, so these are men who they are in prison for violent sex offenses at a rate of 58.9%, I think it is, as compared to 16.8% of men who don't call themselves women, and bragging about how she's giving them all these plastic surgeries, and it's, if you take a single second to ask yourself, I'm sorry, how is a moob job life-saving? It doesn't make any sense. It's not a pacemaker. It's not, an amputation of something that is necrotic. It doesn't actually do anything other than it's just extreme body modification, right? And for these men, it's a sexual body modification. So, we are taxpayers are now funding these sexual fetishes.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear about the Ontario person who took the Ontario government to court because he wanted to have a neo-vagina added, but wanted to keep his penis?
Oh, yes.
And he won, and they shipped him to Texas and paid for all of it for him to have the surgery in Texas.
It's wild.
What the
hell? I feel like, how can anyone defend this? It's like, do you not have a working brain? And I think, we're losing people in terms of critical thought. No one is thinking any deeper on this, but as soon as you do, you're like, wait a second, right?
Yeah, it's like make common sense common again, but I actually like it better. I heard it a different way. Make sense common again. Like just sense in general.
Yeah.
Like shit.
Yeah. No, it's wild. And then, there have been things that have come out, like the writers of the WPATH guidelines are active in a forum for eunuchs. Eunuch sexual is now a gender, or eunuch gender is a gender now.
What is that?
I was just going to say, what the hell is that?
A eunuch. It's a castrated man. So, like
what?
And they did, they had the castrati way back when, which were, young men who were chosen
Sopranos.
and routinely castrated. Yes, exactly. But now that has been validated as a gender. You have cat gender and all these different things, and none of it makes any sense.
Nope.
Yep.
That's how we live now.
I'm embarrassed for humanity.
One big
I am
clown
too.
show. We're still waiting for the aliens to come get us. I don't know
Yes.
if you know. We're trying to telepathically call them.
Yeah.
It hasn't been working.
I think you have to go out into the desert in Arizona or something to get their attention.
Yeah, location.
My sister lives there.
Yes.
Maybe I'll get my sister to do it, and I'll be like, "Can you send them here when they pick you up?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my!
This kind of stuff is exactly why I think we're in a simulation, though. Like, this cannot be real anymore.
I'm starting to think that more every day.
Right.
It's,
because
it's
how?
too ridiculous.
You know what, though? Even if it's a simulation, I think, we got to convince people to do the right thing here.
Yeah.
I want to live in a better simulation.
Yeah,
you know
this
what I
too.
mean?
This
We
is a
still have to live
shitty
with these
simulation.
stupid NPCs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
If you don't fix it now, like 50 years from now, it's going to lead to just these people being like taking the line of, I didn't even choose to be human, so I'm no longer human.
Correct. Well, and that's a big aspect
kind of already happening.
Right. Of where the money is going to lead that goes into this, right, is the transhumanist movement, which is, going to involve fusing people with various pieces of technology. And, again, like with humane euthanasia, I feel like, at first, oh, absolutely. I think that, people who are terminally ill should be able to die with dignity. And all the people who said, oh, I think this is going to lead to, them euthanizing the disabled or, the sort of unwanted in society. And I feel like we are absolutely seeing that consequence happening now.
Right now, the Canadian government, the Trudeau government has like think tanks and like studies being done in a way to convince doctors to open up our maid services to like teens and children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people, who are not terminally ill, just, maybe disabled, maybe depressed. I saw something, it was a 20-something-year-old woman who said she had, resistant depression and she was going to have herself euthanized. And it's wild that these things are being approved. And I feel like, those people back then who said, oh, this is a slippery slope, the compassionate side of supporters said, well, I don't, that would be crazy. That would never happen. We have
Welcome
to focus.
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would absolutely see it going in the future into this transhumanist direction. And, beyond that, I think that if this is allowed to continue, we're going to continue seeing the erosion of women's rights. I think we're going to continue seeing the promotion of surrogacy and, referring to women as basically objects that you can buy, whether we're talking about pornography or surrogacy, but the trannies talk a lot about, oh, you women are obsolete, we're the best version of women that there is.
Right.
And, really trying to
came from women.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My God.
From
If
their
it
bonus
weren't
holes,
for-
Tammy.
Yeah, if it
from the
weren't
bonus
for
hole.
us, they wouldn't exist. You
Right, but
you
they hate
literally
us.
owe us your existence.
Right. Yep.
Boom.
Yeah.
You elitist bitch, Tammy.
Canceled. Tammy.
Oh my God. What is this you got up here, Dave?
We gave someone MAID due to post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome recently.
I'm sorry,
Wow.
post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome.
Sounds like a fancy term for something else.
What
Yeah.
the hell? Oh boy.
All right,
So isn't Canada the leader in the world for medical assistance in dying?
Sure
Like,
is.
it is, yeah.
We have like the highest percentage of deaths due to that. Like
Sure do.
our government is just like murdering people the most in the world.
Yeah,
Right.
because our government solution to everything is here, die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, I think we're watching eugenics at work with this program.
Exactly.
And it's being done the same way as the transgender movement is, promoting pedophilia, removing women's rights, children's
Yep.
rights, parents' rights. We're seeing it done under the guise of, well, can't you just be kind? Can't you just, have some goddamn compassion for these poor people, and
Mhm.
you're shamed for having concerns, which are very, very valid concerns that I think everyone in society should have. I
Yep.
think they say, well, why do you care? How does it affect you? And it's like, we should absolutely all care about the well-being of society and especially children.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think weaponized compassion is the most dangerous thing that we have going right now.
Yes.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I very much, encourage women and all people to, it's okay to be a little bit mean,
Yep.
You're allowed to be. It's not going to be the end of the world, and I'm absolutely okay with hurting a man's feelings if it means that we are protecting women and children.
Exactly. Speaking of mean and being mean,
Uh-huh.
you do a show 3 days a
I
week
do,
called
yes.
called The Mean Show.
That's
Can you
right.
talk a little bit about The Mean Show?
The Mean Show is tons of fun. We are early stages still, but it's like an hour long, kind of an old style radio skit show that we do 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 10:30 to 11:30. And we have a wonderful Trump impersonator and a wonderful Kamala impersonator. And it's just chaos. It's very much like think the Muppets, but with no child-friendly filter. We talk about news stories. We often will have the audience give our candidates some topics, and then they'll either answer questions or they'll tell everyone a story, and they have to incorporate things from the audience.
And you do this in a Twitter space, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's been a really nice cathartic thing to have where it's just fun for the sake of fun. Nothing is actually serious. I'm kind of at this point doing a character of myself. You know what I mean? But it's tons of fun. You should definitely check it out.
I've seen one or two of your skits that you've done. They're freaking hilarious. What is this you got here, Dave?
It's Sean that's part of The Mean Show, and then there's Trump impersonating skills 30 seconds long. I figured we give it a go.
He's
Sure,
great.
let's do it.
My fellow Americans, I was this close to wasting $200 on hidden charges at the lumber yards. These are sick people. Until I saw this beautiful ad from my friends at DT McCall's. They're great. They're not going to charge you for any of your hoses or cords or haulaways. The lumber yards are going to rip you off. How the hell are you supposed to use a dryer without a cord? Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Go visit my friends at DT McCall's and stop the hidden charges on day one, believe me.
Oh my God, he sounds exactly like him. Holy shit.
Exactly like him. And it cracks me up because when I watch Trump interviews now, I'm like, oh my God, not only is his voice spot on and his cadence, but like the content too, like
his mannerisms and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But Trump was in an interview saying like, we love Putin. We get along very well with Russia. Da, 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 da. And Sean will be on the show, we're talking about like pirates, and he's like, I know Blackbeard. We get along very well with Blackbeard. And it's just so spot on. It's incredible. And, I always joke around. I'm like, do you have trouble turning this off? And he's like, oh my God, yes, 100%. Like I'm just Trump most of the time now.
That's freaking awesome.
I just followed. I'm excited to see it now.
Yeah, he was like an OG of the Trump impersonations. I think I remember him from like Gab even before Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he's so good. Wow. Okay, what other crazy nonsense is currently going on? Anybody?
MaryCate's election.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, you mean the beginning of Civil War 2.0?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really as divided as it looks like up here in Canada, as far as like if you walk down the street and you see someone with a Biden thing and if you have a Trump thing, you guys are eyeing each other down? And
my personal feelings towards it have softened so much since the last few elections. I don't know if I'm just burned out or if it's more eyes opened. But I remember the charged atmosphere for so many years. And I think I have deliberately taken myself out of it to a certain point just for my own sanity. But no, it is. It's very, very divided. It's very hard to have conversations with people on either side if you're on the other side. And I find that it's very hard to convince people to talk about an issue without them disagreeing with the other person just because of who they're going to support to vote. Especially with the transgender stuff, I feel like there are a lot of liberal people who are against it. There are also a lot of conservative people against it, but it's very hard still sometimes to get those people to talk to each other.
Yep.
Yep. The divide is growing, and
that's what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I, have gone out of my way in the last few years to, reach across the aisle and to try to, understand other points of view. And I really do feel like I am much better off for it. I'm a lot less angry for it. So I try to encourage people to do the same if they're feeling, very strongly one direction or another, because I've definitely been there. I've been a believer of propaganda, and then one day going, oh my God, wait a second, you catch a lie here and an untruth there, and, you start questioning things. I think that we should do that all the time. It's the kind of tribal team rah-rah nature of our politics that is so, so dangerous. And it doesn't allow people to focus on individual issues. It's just my team likes this, my team likes that, and we don't like the other team.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't give a shit about the policies. They're not even listening to who's bringing what, right?
Right.
It's like, I don't like him because someone said he's racist or
right.
Whatever,
yeah.
right?
Vote
and
blue no matter who, just.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you listen to some of the independents out there, like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., like they were very, very reasonable and, both tried to be a part of the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party wanted none of that. And it's like, how could you not want that? Those guys are so patriotic and reasonable and kind, and it's just insane what's happening.
It is, yeah. It's really insane, and I am nervous for what's going to happen next week, just because I know
when is it? What's the date?
November 4th.
November 5th.
Right? Oh,
Tuesday.
5th.
The 5th.
Oh,
yep.
the 5th. Oh boy.
Yeah. I totally agree with you that, and I have been a registered independent voter since I was old enough to vote. The only time I changed my registration was in my state. You have to be a member of either party to vote in the primary. So, when I have had a candidate that I wanted on the ballot for that party, I did, but they let you switch it back after the fact. But, I have switched my party from independent, but always gone back to independent. And those are absolutely the candidates that I lean more towards because, I see the nuance in all the issues, and I'm glad that I do.
Yeah, for sure. Are you doing anything to prepare yourself? Are you like collecting water in your bathtub, or do you have a bunch of candles ready?
So I always have candles. Luckily, we are just coming out of major hurricane season, so I do have a lot of supplies, but I am definitely a very paranoid person. I am definitely sort of a, conspiracy theory lover, and then, I start scaring myself. So, I've had a bug out bag in the garage and in the car for years, and I try to make sure those are stocked with everything. I don't see it getting that bad, to be honest with you. Or at least I very much hope not, and I'm not preparing for that.
Don't come to Canada. It's not better here.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm so sad. I used to look at you guys as like, I'm going to go to Canada. Everything's better.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
a
just
total
watching
dumpster
in
fire.
horror from here.
Even after everything you said, more importantly, how can we go down there?
Exactly.
I know.
Right?
I know. When Lady Gaga said that she's going to... when Lady
Will
Gaga
you
said that she's
adopt us,
going to
Mary
move.
Kate?
Hold on,
What?
one person at a time. What'd you
All
say?
right, sorry.
Ash?
I just
Lady
said when
Gaga
Lady Gaga said that she was going to move to Canada if Trump gets in, I'm like, all right, well, you can have the pedos in Canada if I can move. Let
Yeah,
me
like,
move
can we
to the
switch?
States.
Can we switch, Lady Gaga? Can we switch?
Right.
Dave, what did you say?
Said, can you adopt us, please? That's all I
Yeah.
said.
You adopt us.
Quick question, just while we're talking about the U.S., did anybody see that ABC accidentally aired the election results of Kamala
Yep.
winning in Pennsylvania?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, I saw that on
What?
Redacted.
What?
Yep.
So they're planning on. I mean, I guess they have to plan the
Oopsie.
reports for either way. But wow, that's wild.
They put
They
a percentage, though.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She won by 5%.
Wow.
And then they tried to do damage control by saying WNEP clarified this is a test of election results.
Sure.
It's hard to trust them. It really is. And
This
then-
is the picture for Pennsylvania that you're talking about.
Well, friendly reminder
Oh,
to
wow.
anybody that believes this. They also told us that the vaccines were safe and effective, which
Right,
they
right.
are, YouTube. They are.
Yes, YouTube. Totally safe, totally
Yeah.
effective.
oh, are you not allowed to say that on YouTube?
YouTube
Nope.
doesn't like us.
Wow.
The other thing that just came out too is that someone disclosed the passwords for the like voter machines in Colorado.
Oh my god.
I believe.
What?
Yeah. Or
I mean,
something
it's
like
crazy.
some of
I don't know.
some of the elections passwords, and the person came out and said, well, it's still, it's not great, but it's still secure because you need 2 passwords and you need clearance to get into the building. And people are saying, well, the people who are already in the building have the other passwords already. So yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
It was like
There you
23
go.
of 24 passwords, but officials say there's no immediate security risk. We're fine.
No, we're fine. Totally
I'm
fine.
sure they do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything's safe and effective there too.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
No, it's a mess. It's very stressful. And, I mean, I'm in Florida, so I see a lot more Trump support than Kamala support. So it's hard for me to gauge which direction it's actually going to go in the election. But I definitely don't see either party accepting the results if they lose. And I think for very good reason. I think that both parties have given Americans a lot of reasons to distrust them. Just again and again and again.
And that's the same up here too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had a provincial election in BC, and it was disclosed that they took, election officials took the ballots home with them. And that is common practice apparently. And only
Nothing
a
to see
small
here.
percentage of Canadians are up in arms about it. And I was like, it's always been done like that.
It's like, but it shouldn't be done like that. Does
Right.
not see this?
Christ, yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well,
sure
good
we
luck with
will.
that. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
Whenever you want to get those adoption papers ready, you just let us know. Still got to be better than it is up
I'll
here.
pull my weight. I'll contribute to the economy. I got work I can do. Just
All
throw that
right.
in there,
I'll keep it in mind. I got
I'm
a
a
fence
really
that
good
needs
kid.
fixing.
You can ask my
I'm just
parents.
saying.
Oh man.
When is your next election cycle up there?
It's supposed to be in 2025.
Supposed to be. It's probably not going to be.
The federal one is supposed to be in 2025. Yeah.
I don't
It's
think
very
we'll
much
see
up
it.
for debate because Trudeau's party is crumbling. And so there's a whole bunch of members of parliament right now who are trying to get him to step down, and he's refusing. And so they keep saying they're trying to get him to step down, or they're going to call a snap election, but he's not going to step down. He's too narcissistic.
I don't honestly think we're going to, I highly doubt we're going to see another election. I don't think he's going to let go of power, period. That's my own personal.
Oh,
Okay,
you think
but
he's going to like instate himself as, permanent leader? Wow.
Okay, but we have, but an election will still happen in 2025. It has to happen every 4 years.
Yeah, but it'll be like some sort of safety measure, some pandemic or something where we can't vote.
He can do things, and I don't put it past him at all. I have said this a few times on X that I feel that we are walking a very, very thin line with him. He's a very dangerous man.
Yeah,
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing kind of a similar death of democracy with Kamala Harris being made candidate, where no one voted for her to be the Democratic candidate.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
Just a coup.
And right. I mean, they really just, they told everyone, this is who you need to vote for, if you're a member of our party. And so anyone who says to me unironically now that, the Republicans are the ones who are going to end democracy, I'm like, oh, we can't even continue this conversation at this point, because it feels like talking to brainwashed people,
Yeah.
And I was not ever someone who I thought would so strongly support the Republican Party, but I have seen just the way that the Democratic Party has changed. And, again, I'm looking at it going, that's quite literally the death of democracy, at least, in that small part of this election.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The Democrats are not democratic. The liberals are not liberal. It's just unbelievable.
They're not progressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is backwards and inverted and messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which brings us back to, this is just a freaking stimulation.
Yeah.
It's got to be. On that note, I'd say we covered quite a bit regarding elections, rigged elections, the trans topic. Which
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
For YouTube.
So maybe it's a good time to close things off. Ash, Tammy, and Dave, any final thoughts on all things covered this evening?
No, I think this was fun. MaryCate, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Please come back and chat with us again sometime soon.
I would love to, especially if we can talk about aliens. Nothing would make me happier.
Yes,
Nice.
we can do the CE5 protocol in real time and try to
Okay. Oh, that's the one with Stephen Greer that he developed. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm in.
Nice.
This is awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. And, I hope that people learned something today.
I hope so too.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you were able to come on. I was so excited to talk to you. And I guess best of luck in the election.
Thank you. Yes, I'll call from my bunker if everything goes south.
Mary Kate, you're a legend in the making. Keep doing what you're doing. And please come back.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Yes, as they said, MaryCate, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute blast, as I knew it would be. Keep being so awesome and hilarious. If you ever want to collab on one of those skits that you do, I'm 100% down. I used to make videos over on TikTok before losing my job over COVID jabs. So I wouldn't mind, diving back in on some of these topics.
That would be fun. And I so often I'm like, I just don't have the idea formed. So if you have an idea, please just message me.
Yes, let's do it.
Nice.
Awesome. So like they all said, definitely please come back and talk to us again anytime. We're so doing aliens next time. Yes. Not doing them. That sounds dirty. Tammy, you are up next, my friend. What are we talking about next week?
Good question. No clue. We were supposed to have Steph from Out West on. Unfortunately, she cannot join us now. I just found out last night. So hopefully she will join us in the future. But I think we're going to do a free-for-all. Suze, you unfortunately weren't with us the last one. We kind of did about the nursery rhymes and their dark history. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe we'll just do like a real live rabbit hole again.
All right.
I love that. That was fun last time.
So
I am into it.
Everybody's homework for next week is to just come up with a topic that you want to dig into, and we're going to do it in real time with the help of Dave.
Yep.
Did you hear that, Dave?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you again to our guest, MaryCate. Like we mentioned, please come back again. Hope you all enjoyed this extremely bigoted convo today. And remember to bigot harder, everyone. Catch y'all next time. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.